Welcome to our podcast series, Retinal Realities. This week we celebrate World Ocean Week. And who better to speak about her life on the ocean than a very special surfer, Michele McFarlane. We welcome you, Michele, to this podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's very exciting that you've launched this new podcast, and I'm really looking forward to hearing more of your podcasts in the future.
Great, thank you, and thank you very much for being here. First of all, tell us about your eye condition and how it affects your life.
So I have retinitis pigmentosa. It is inherited deteriorating eye disease. So it's a dominant form in my case, which means that I have been slowly losing my peripherals noticeably from when I was in my early 30s. At the moment, I'm sitting with about 7 degrees of my central vision left, which is impactful at this point. It means that I can't navigate safely around public spaces without a cane, unless I know those spaces very well. But even then, there's so many variables. And yeah, it's very limiting in some ways. I've had to give up driving. Yeah, as far as how it's impacted me, I think that it's mostly people's lack of understanding around those who are visually impaired. And that's like across the board. That's like universal. The problems I suffer from are the problems that people across the globe suffer from who are visually impaired.
Really?
Yeah.
Michele, this is Claudette speaking now, and I'd like to ask something. I've
Yes.
followed your adventures with great interest over the years, and you are what I would really call an adventurer. No adventure is too daunting for you. Now I hear you're a longboard surfer. And how did that happen?
Well, Claudette, as you know, like over the years, I've done different challenges. And I think it's when I did, when I first realized that my vision was going, when I had to give up driving, I started doing judo again. And at that point, I just did it to regain my strength and dignity and remind myself that even though my sight is going, my body is still strong. And then I did the fitness competition a while back. And that's when I decided to use that to raise awareness for Retina South Africa. And, since then I've done a few different challenges to raise awareness about blindness. And I realized that if you do something that is interesting and that you enjoy, it creates a platform to raise awareness. So since then I've sang at Artscape for the Retina SA Ripped Jeans competition. That was probably the scariest challenge I did. And the Venda hike, which was also very challenging because it was very much off track and very rural. So with the amount of sight I had, it was hard. And then after lockdown, I was looking for a new challenge. So I was looking at a few things. I thought maybe running, possibly cycling. They have the cycling thing for Retina SA as well once a year, but it was hard to find a pilot and to buy a tandem bike, etc. And I actually came across surfing, and instead of it being a beginning and an end, it became like a really enduring passion. And in fact, I'm really happy that we're talking during the World Ocean Week, because I found that I love anything to do with the ocean. So I've also started open water swimming, and I'm hoping to do a Robben Island swim at some point. So it's really opened up just a love for the ocean. So at the moment it's surfing, swimming. I would like to do kayaking as well, competitively. So yeah, it's just, I've fallen in love with the ocean. And the surfing has been something that I would like to take forward very seriously, hopefully be in the Paralympics in 2028. That's my ambition. Slightly lofty possibly, but that's where I want to go with the surfing.
But you've done well. So just tell us about some of the things you've accomplished in surfing.
So in surfing, I started late in life, and I entered the nationals in 2021. So currently, this is my 3rd year running. Last year was the nationals here in Cape Town. the Parasurfing Nationals. So it's the third year that I've got the South African title in my category, which is visually impaired standing. I got not bronze, what's the next one? Copper, I think it is, in the English Open. I was put against the boys as well there because there's so few female blind surfers. And in December last year, I was in the World Parasurfing Championships, where I didn't place, but they're still this year coming up.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing and so impressive. I'm sitting here quite gobsmacked. Now, just to carry on, one of the things that we all rely on these days, whether we cite it or not actually, is apps and devices. Now, which apps and devices do you find most useful in your life?
Sure. That's a hard one for me, actually. Karen, I did give that some thought. And the thing is, at the moment, because I have some central vision left, my central vision, as with a lot of people with retinitis pigmentosa, is still good. So I can still scan a screen, so to speak. So at the moment, I'm not using visual assist apps and stuff as yet.
But Michelle, I believe you use a long cane. Now that's a device. Do you find that helpful?
I wouldn't be able to manage without my long cane, honestly. And I know that there are, and I wish more people would use a cane. A friend of mine said to me the other day that she lives in the busiest part of Cape Town and she never, ever sees anyone with a cane. She's lived there like 30 years. And she said the only person she's ever seen with a cane is me. So I don't think it's because there's not many visually impaired people, although it's, we're still in the minority. But I think so many people won't use a cane to go out and about, which is a pity.
That is a pity.
It really is. It really is, because it really opens your world out to you. It keeps you safer. It keeps other people safe.
Okay. So, Michelle, that's one important message that you have for visually impaired. But what other messages would you give to visually impaired or people who are just perhaps newly diagnosed?
Okay, on the cane thing, I'm just going to quickly go back to the cane. The message I have for people who are visually impaired is to use it. You have to just use it and brace yourself. You are going to get people commenting, but the freedom it gives you, the gains you get from it are just huge, And we also need to, the more we get seen with our canes, the more people become educated as well. I'd like to give a message to people who aren't visually impaired and to say, if you see someone with a cane, there is no blind look and there's no blind way to behave, because I think that is the single most frustrating thing that people who are visually impaired get, is that they'll use a cane and people will go, why are you using that? You don't look blind, So that's the one thing that puts people off using a cane. You can use your cane and still look at a book. You can use a cane and look someone in the eye. You can use a cane and not look blind at all. There's no such thing as a blind look. There was another question there, sorry.
And also to motivate young people who live in fear. And you're certainly somebody who perhaps has overcome fear. What would you tell them?
I would say to them that it's absolutely okay to feel the fear, because that's appropriate and that's normal. And you don't have to be positive about it all the time. It is a frightening disease. It is something that you have to adapt to all the time, because with our deteriorating eye diseases, whatever they are, they do always change constantly. And then our world around us changes with that. But I would say try to not reduce your life because of that. Like, see what there is available to you and expand your life. The more we expand our life, the more fulfilled lives we have. And to mix with other people who are visually impaired, who have other disabilities, because it just gives you that support group. And see what's out there for you in every single city or town. There's something, Cape Town alone, there's so many things. There's football for the blind, there's dancing for people with mixed abilities, there's, whatever tickles your fancy, there's something there. So join those things. It's to push yourself. I know it's a catchphrase, to push yourself out of your comfort zone, but it really is important when you're visually impaired, because you so often don't know if you're able to do something. So with every challenge I've done, it's like, oh, can I do this? Or will I fall off the stage? Can I do this? Is it possible? And then you actually literally have to just try it and see. And then you might surprise yourself, or you might think, that isn't something that I'm able to do. But just give it a go. And it's a constant work to try and, to push yourself. But it's really worthwhile. And to mix with positive people, really, that's so important. And to not isolate.
Thank you. And I think people will gain so much from your inspiration and from the kind of life that you live. And you're just totally undeterred. You're an example to all of us. Thank you.
And on that, actually, I would like to say that for me, what I would promote, and this is whatever age you are, whether you're 15 years old or 70, is to really push yourself physically, because when our eyesight is deteriorating, it's a reminder that the rest of our body can be stronger than we could possibly imagine. And that gives us such an internal strength. And it helps with safety. The amount of falls I've had where I've been like, wow, that could have been so much worse, if I wasn't fit.
Well done, Michelle. And thank you so much for your inspiration, and good luck.
We'll be watching you at the International Games.
Thank you. And happy World Ocean Week.
Yes.
Thank you. And you.